The mop hit the floor with a wet slap, echoing through the empty corridor of Firebase Sentinel. Nobody looked up. Nobody ever did. Sergeant Marcus Cole leaned against the wall, coffee in hand, watching the cleaning woman work. Small, quiet, invisible. He smirked at his buddy. $10 says she doesn't even know what half this equipment does. Laughter rippled through the group. The woman didn't react. She just kept mopping, head down, shoulders hunched like someone who learned long ago that silence was safer than speaking. They had no idea who she really was, and in 48 hours, that ignorance would cost them everything or save their lives. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss these true tales of courage. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? For 6 months, she had mopped the same floors, the same hallways, the same operations room where officers planned missions she wasn't supposed to understand. But every night, when the base went silent, she did something no one ever saw. She stood in front of the tactical maps, studied troop movements, memorized patrol routes. Her fingers traced lines across terrain she knew better than anyone in that building, because once upon a time, she had drawn those maps herself. Her name was Sarah Vance. At least, it used to be. 10 years ago, Captain Sarah Vance had been the youngest female tactical advisor in Special Forces. She'd done 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Syria mission no one officially knew about. They called her Ghost, because she moved in and out of battlefields and nobody ever saw her coming. Her strategies were legendary. Her ability to read enemy formations was almost supernatural. Then everything changed. 3 years ago, in northern Iraq, a convoy fell into an ambush. 47 soldiers trapped in a kill zone. Command wanted to pull back. Too risky, too uncertain. Accept the losses as tolerable and move on. Sarah refused. She broke the chain of command, used unauthorized satellite access to plot her own route, assembled a small extraction team, and went into the darkness. 24 hours later, 47 soldiers came home. 0 casualties. But Sarah Vance's career died that night. The mission was classified. The truth was buried. And Sarah Vance was erased from every record. Not discharged, not retired, not forgotten, completely deleted. They gave her a choice: disappear quietly, or face court-martial and take her team down with her. She chose to disappear. At Firebase Sentinel, no one really saw her in her thin, colorless uniform. She was just another background figure. Her face was weathered with age and labor. Her hands smelled of calluses and soap. Young soldiers walked past her like she was part of the furniture, stepping over her wet floors, never saying thank you, never making eye contact. Lieutenant Daniel Hayes passed by her every morning. He'd grab his coffee, walk briskly into the operations room, never noticing the cleaning woman's existence. Hayes didn't know that 10 years ago, she had trained him, taught him how to clear a room, how to survive an ambush, how to bring his soldiers home. He didn't recognize her. No one did. Sarah preferred it that way. Invisibility was a form of survival. Anger grew quietly inside her but never showed. Every day she picked up her mop, walked with her bucket, and cleaned the places no one bothered to think about. An old laptop, hidden behind a supply cabinet, connected to the base's network, quietly integrated into security protocols. Every night, Sarah read patrol reports, studied satellite imagery, mapped enemy movements, because she felt something was wrong. Last month, a patrol team had been ambushed 3 kilometers off their expected position. 2 weeks ago, a drone flight had been cut short, reason unknown. Last night, radio traffic from the north perimeter showed abnormal patterns. Sarah recognized these signs. She'd been reading these signs for years. Someone was watching the base, and an attack was being planned. She could report to command. But who would listen? Intelligence analysis from a cleaning lady. They'd laugh, or worse, they'd see her as a security risk. So Sarah prepared alone. The attack came at Odo for 7 hours. The explosion shattered Firebase Sentinel's north wall. The alarm screamed to life like a wailing siren. Soldiers scrambled from their bunks, boots pounding concrete, weapons snapping into hands. Contact, north perimeter breach, chaos, gunfire, shouting. Marcus Cole ran to the operations room, chest heaving, hand on the radio. All units, defensive positions. Repeat, defensive positions. Lieutenant Hayes was yelling at soldiers rushing past in the dark corridor. Get to the armory. Distribute ammunition. Now, outside. Gunfire intensified. Rockets flew. Explosions shook the ground. The enemy had breached the walls, and in a supply closet no one thought to check. A woman in a janitor's uniform calmly set down her mop, opened a hidden locker, and pulled out a rifle that hadn't seen daylight in 3 years. Her hands moved with muscle memory. Chamber check. Magazine seated. Safety off. Sarah took a deep breath. She looked at herself in the mirror. The old, exhausted face disappeared. In its place appeared the expression of a warrior who had once been a legend. Ghosts never die, she whispered. They just wait. Sarah slung the rifle over her shoulder and slipped silently into the corridor. Her boots made no sound amid the chaos. The tightening of muscles was a return to training acquired over decades. Never forgotten. Outside, enemy forces were advancing rapidly. Sarah peered through the operations. Room door. Marcus Cole, Hayes, and other officers were panicking. North perimeter collapsed. Southeast defense is weak. We need reinforcements. No reinforcements. Nearest unit is 30 minutes away. Sarah quietly withdrew. They didn't have time. 30 minutes would be this base's grave. But Sarah had a plan. She ran to the armory. A young soldier was frantically trying to distribute ammunition boxes. He froze when he saw Sarah. "You, what are you doing here?" Sarah lowered the rifle from her shoulder. Her eyes were cold, clear, commander's eyes. "Helping you. Now listen. The north tower is weak. Enemies coming through there. But the west flank is unguarded. If we draw them there, we can trap them." The soldier stared blankly. You're the cleaning lady." Sarah gave a cold smile. "No, I was Captain Sarah Vance, and right now, I'm your best chance." Sarah took position in the west tower. Below, enemy fighters were advancing quickly, 20 men, maybe more. Heavily armed, coordinated, relentless. Sarah held her breath. Her eyes locked on the target. First shot dropped the lead fighter. Second took the one behind. Third got the one on the right. 3 seconds. 3 shots. 3 targets. Enemy forces scattered in confusion. Sniper on the west. By the time they turned to fire, Sarah had already changed positions. She moved like a shadow, each shot a death, each movement like a ghost. Marcus Cole, in the operations room, listened to radio reports. "West sniper is stopping the enemy." "Who is that?" Hayes looked confused. "There's no one in the west. That area was left unguarded." But Sarah was there. Within 15 minutes, enemy forces scattered. Casualties were heavy. Their plans were broken. They retreated. Firebase Sentinel stood. When the sun rose, soldiers were still in shock. The base had been saved, but no one knew how. Marcus Cole climbed to the west tower. On the ground, empty casings. On the wall, marks of precision shots, and in the corner, an abandoned rifle. On the rifle, a faded name tag. Vance. Cole froze. He knew that name. Everyone knew it. Captain Sarah Vance. Legend. Ghost. But she was dead. Not in the records. "Stop looking," a voice said. Cole turned. Standing before him was the woman in the janitor's uniform, but she wasn't that woman anymore. Her posture was different. Her eyes were different. "You." Cole couldn't find the words. "Are you Ghost?" Sarah nodded with a tired smile. "I used to be. Now I'm just the cleaning lady. But you saved us." "No," Sarah quietly replied. "I just put down the mop and finished an old job." A week later, a ceremony was held in Firebase Sentinel's courtyard. The entire base lined up in full uniform. The commander stepped to the podium. His eyes locked on Sarah, who was no longer wearing a janitor's uniform. She wore her old military uniform. "Captain Sarah Vance," the commander raised his voice. "3 years ago, you saved 4 to 7 lives. And this week, you saved a base. Your silence was our greatest defense." The entire base saluted. Marcus Cole, tears in his eyes, walked toward Sarah. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never saw you." Sarah smiled gently. "No one did. But it's okay. Sometimes the strongest warriors are the quietest ones." The wind swept the flags. The sun poured over the base. And Sarah Vance was no longer invisible, because true heroism always comes quietly. And sometimes, behind the most ordinary faces, hide the most extraordinary souls. True strength doesn't shout. Sometimes the quietest warrior carries the deepest scars and the highest honors. If this story moved you, don't forget to show your support. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more military and veteran stories. We bring you true tales of courage, sacrifice, and honor. Stories that remind us of the quiet strength carried by those who serve. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and never forget the heroes among us.